Calling from a 210 area code. 210. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
El Conipcion from San Antone. How's it going, Emma?
El Conipcion from San Antone. You are a frequent IMer. Always great input. Doing well. How are you?
Good. Holding it down. Experiencing some of the sadness related to the climate these days, to be honest. I wanted to call in and tell somebody who cares that, what's driving me crazy these days is, here locally in San Antonio, we've got, my own local news weather app that, will just repeatedly say for 2 straight weeks now, drawing towards late September and into early October. And they just keep saying in the lookout for the day, it says, sure, it's going to be record-threateningly hot, but at least the mornings are nice. And I just keep thinking about how, around here we've got 2 or 3 of the local stations owned by Sinclair, and then one of the ones that I actually grew up with, KSAT 12. I always forget. I love all their personalities that make me feel at home. They actually shuttled a lot of them out the door. The people have been there for 20 years earlier this year. But what I actually found out is this place is even they've rebroadcasted John Hagee for
gosh.
I don't even know how long. John Hagee of for folks who may or may not know, the anti-Semitic Zionist Christian preacher who went to the march at the end of last year with all the right-wing Zionist crazies.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just wanted to wrap up this thought. What I really appreciated hearing yesterday was you guys talking to Ilan Pape. I think he was saying something about how basically most politicians are just in it for themselves and are not responding to the whims of their people. And, it just makes me wonder and worry that, the more these climate disasters keep happening, and people are in dire straits, struggling, desperate to survive, or not knowing where they're going to go next for shelter. Are we going to, is the government going to be gaslighting us about, the climate crisis the way that they do about Israel and other things? So, just some food for thought. I get a little nervous when I call into you guys, but thanks for hearing me out, and I just love to know what you guys have to say to that. So I'll go ahead and jump.
Oh, well,
thanks for giving me some time.
Yeah, I think thanks El Conipcion for the call. It's amazing how we preach, how hollow our preaching of democracy really is at the end of the day. It's so obvious when it comes to Israel and international politics, the coups that we've funded and supported throughout the 20th century in Latin America, but also in the Middle East, the way that we have propped up authoritarian leaders in the Middle East because of oil and because of our imperialist aims. The fact that we supported an apartheid genocidal regime in the Middle East that rules over millions of Palestinians where they have zero political rights, lays bare the real commitment to democracy. Now, in terms of the election, I actually think it's very salient because it's very much a part of the American mythology and how people really want to perceive our government as being the greatest democracy ever, et cetera. And Trump's authoritarian, anti-democratic tendencies are explicit, but that doesn't mean that it's exclusive to him. Unfortunately, particularly foreign policy, there's been a lot of great writing about this, has become very much untethered from public opinion. And there's a lot of other issues that you could find that dynamic in. I would say it's most acute as it relates to foreign policy because of the so-called deep state and all of the money that goes into weapons manufacturers and things like that.
The military-industrial complex.
There you go. But even gun control is a great example of an issue that polls with great, overwhelming popularity that we can't get past because
healthcare is one of the main issues.
Of regulatory, not regulatory capture, but because of really like legalized bribery and corruption. But healthcare is a huge, huge reason. I mean, Joe Lieberman representing and being the senator from Connecticut and being a huge part of killing the public option is not a coincidence. It's because he's representing the health insurers in that state and the major industry in that state. And so what is democracy if that's what's truly being represented there? And I think we can have some really intelligent conversations about that. We still have elections, we still get to vote. But in terms of electoral responsiveness, we have a really long way to go. And I would say and argue that Citizens United and some of the ways that we have decided that our elections can be funded. I mean, Elon Musk and his super PAC are offering $47 for people, registered voters, to get another registered voter to sign some petition that I probably puts you on the Trump email list. Like, it's just so awash in nonsense and corruption.
I mean, money in politics is definitely one thing, but just generally, you can't have a society where you have this amount of wealth and power in private hands and it not affect politics. It's going to, if Citizens United was, we still had a money in politics issue prior to Citizens United decision, right? And part of it is just because those guys are getting so rich and they're still getting richer and richer. And now it's like the point where, these things that like, why isn't that illegal?
Right.
It's because, well, like all the people that should say it's illegal are bought by the capitalists that have gotten so powerful. And like, it was 15 years ago, I think, when Piketty released Capitalism in, well, I forget what the book was, but it's all about inequality and how like this is insane inequality and actually it's not sustainable. And the growth of the economy is actually less than the rate being returned to investors, which is means that they're getting fatter and things aren't being produced to compensate for it. So and we haven't gone an inch towards actually dealing with it. And that's one of the things Biden meant when he told that room full of donors that nothing will fundamentally change. And it hasn't.
That's exactly right. Let's speaking of well, I don't know. I wanted to do this yesterday. We didn't get to it. This Trump and McKinley thing, Bradley.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.